Everybody is Anthony Brogdon. This show made, man, on the one and twos. I'm jamming. You see, I got my colorful shirt on because I'm with a guy, and I ain't gonna give you I ain't gonna tell it where, but he on one of them Caribbean islands and all that stuff. And ooh, boy, you gonna like this video. Oh man, this brother's smooth, and he's committed to the cause. He wants you to know this good history, Black history, not just from where he is, but other things that he's going to expound on today with us. I'm Anthony Brogdon, and I don't play with you through the people who come on the show. I'm telling you, I'm lucky. I'm a better person by doing strong inspiration. Because, like I say, I meet these people, and then what happens is, I'll be honest with y'all, my viewers, after they come on, they're part of the Strong Inspirations family. I stay in touch with them. I see them somehow, some way, because they're all over the world. I just came back from Alabama, where I spoke in Selma, and I saw one of the guys who'd been on the show. I had seen him before in Selma. I was in Montgomery, saw the guy who's the head of the National Park Service at Tuskegee. I hugged that dude. We bonded for the 15, 20 minutes I was going through the museum. Watched those two videos. Watched the video I did just recently with a guy out of one of the Caribbean islands, St. Thomas, who does tours. Oh, he explains what happened there. And watch that video. Watch the one I did with, and I got to get there, my friends. I feel bad to the motherland, Africa. I got several of them on the show out of Africa. Watch the one I did with the lady out of my town here in Detroit, who is deemed the queen in Africa of a tribal nation. Watch that video. I'm not playing with you. And so a couple more housekeeping notes. Y'all know I'm a filmmaker. It's businessintheblack.net. It's streaming on Amazon. Watch this. You will learn something about the early days of Black business in America and enslaved Black folks who went to college. I wrote the book on it. To accompany the documentary is titled Black Business Book with over 200 facts. This mind-blowing stuff, and people are ordering this. I'm excited. So get you a copy of this also. And I'm speaking around the country. As I just said, I was in Alabama. My next trip is in New York City. I'm at the Harlem Y. And I will videotape these things. So to learn all of what I'm doing, go to my website, businessintheblack.net. Now, y'all know this. You've been watching me. My favorite word is the word strong. And in my world, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to the strong soul brother on the channel. Come on, man. Let's get it on.
Ronnie Jones. Hail to my people all over the world. This is Ronnie Jones representing the United States Virgin Islands, the island of St. John in particular. I am a grandson of a man whose father and his father's father were slaves. His name was Halver Neptune Richards. We've owned this property, 250 acres, for over 82 years. For the last 45 years or so, it's been a farm. And since Grandpa died, I went away for a while, came back, and I realized some potential with the property because we have a historic monument on here and some ruins from a form. This is a former slave plantation. People call it a sugar plantation, but I specifically let you know it was a slave plantation because everything about it was run and conducted by slaves.
All right, let me
The
stop you.
structures were built.
Hold on, we're gonna get to that. But I gotta do this. I do this with all the guests. I want them to get to know you a little bit more personally. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in the estate in the plantation house or the master's house on the property.
Oh, hold
I
on,
was
hold
a
on.
I
You
was
weren't born during slavery, so what do you mean the plaster's house? Did y'all own the
well
house?
my grandpa when he purchased the property, he purchased the master's house with the property.
Oh my God. Okay. where is the house at? Is it on the hill and stuff like that, or are y'all? Did you grow up in a neighborhood? What? Like, what's the
Yes,
dynamic?
no, if you're visualizing the Virgin Islands was just a whole bunch of plantations, averaging 250 acres, 300 acres, 400 acres. Different people owned those plantations and owned slaves on those properties. The one property that I live on, Susannaburg, was one of those individual plantations.
Can you hear the voices of the enslaved? Do you hear the cries, anything that time, the ghost of them?
It's funny that you say that because I've been working on this property as a kid, and I've been back 22 years now back on the property working as an adult, trying to cultivate it and make it. And all my life, I've always felt that I'm talking to them, I'm listening to them communicate with each other. And one of the things that always rings in my ear is I could imagine them working and being beaten while they're working, and while they're being beaten, as soon as the slave driver turns his back, one of my brothers would say, what if we could one day own this property? What if one day it could be turned around and we could be owners of this? And then one of them would say, don't talk too loud. He might hear you, but it would be a great day in our life if our people could one day own this. So to
Oh,
have
okay.
the opportunity to say that I own this through my grandfather is such a positive thing and a powerful thing. Also, we have a thing that we do here. We have a horn called a conch shell, and that's a conch shell that's all over the world. That it blows for freedom, and that's one of the tools we used when we were going to overthrow the plantation owners in 1733, the 1733 slave revolt. That we were the first Caribbean island to ever revolt against slavery, and we were
Oh,
successful for over 6 months in holding down the Virgin Islands until they finally overtook us. But there's a
oh,
conch shell that blows, and we blow it all the time. It's a symbol in our park and everything of freedom. But when people are up here blowing that conch shell, you can actually feel the ancestors dancing, feel the spirit of them moving. You can imagine them just dancing. It's just a powerful vibration of feeling of your people spirit coming out and saying, yes, we're free. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last.
I love it. Let me stay on you
Yeah,
as
so
a little boy. No, no, I'm gonna stay on you just
right.
as a little boy. How far was school from you? How did you get to school?
Well, as a little, in my days of going to school in the 70s, everything around here was dirt roads and they were pretty bumpy. So I remember our school is probably, the island is small, so school was probably about a mile away, but it's a bumpy, and the Virgin Islands is bumpy roads, a lot of hills, and a lot of corners, but it wasn't that far. It's just that you had to have transportation to get to school, or you walk to school, one of the two. But when
Did
you
you
get the
wear a
concept of how small
uniform?
our island is,
Did you wear a
uh,
uniform?
no, not until I got to high school.
Okay. When you went to school, did was it all black kids in the school? Were there some white kids, just blacks, or what? What was the other students?
In our schools, we probably had one or two white students in our schools, and
Okay.
even in our high school, it was the same thing. Maybe one or two we might have 300 graduates, but if it had one or two white persons in our school. We've always grown up seeing black leaders. Our lawyers have always been black. Our
So
medical professionals have always been black. So we grew up with a consciousness of always knowing that we can own a business and we can have a business.
so all the teachers and the principals were black. Were black.
Black. Everything was black.
Okay, I love it. What about uh
Until I got
when you went home? What time was dinner?
Then it wasn't the normal time. My grandparents were pretty. I live with my grandparents on the estate, so it was normally dinner time. You ate when you got up back home from school. You got a snack at 3 o'clock, but you probably ate dinner about 6, and then grandma wants you in your bed by 7. You know how it goes.
Oh, really?
Grandma don't play.
Okay. Did you
Yeah.
um did you or did you watch TV or you had to do the homework? What was the normal dynamic?
Yeah, in the 70s, we had television. And they'll forget, my grandpa owned this estate since the 1950s. And because he had a farm, he had livestock, cows, pigs, goats, guinea birds, peacocks, all of those things. So we never had a whole lot of money, but we had access to things because we had the resources of selling meat, pig meat, cow meat, beef, whatever. So we had a lot of amenities that the average person didn't have on this plantation. Most of the Virgin Islanders, in the concept we had after slavery, most of us didn't want to own property when there were opportunities to own property because we have this thing where everybody wanted to be a city dweller, where everybody wanted to be in the city where we could see what's going on and know what the neighbor is doing. But grandpa always had the concept of land ownership was very valuable, very important. And it turned out to be very important because he ended up having 21 kids, and three grandkids were in that 21. But he was able to give each one, all of his kids, a parcel of at least 3 acres of land because of that concept of land ownership. He never thought about being a city dweller. He wanted to be in the countryside where you can own property.
Okay, let me ask you this.
That was
So
very
so so they so you were, if I may
important
say, I don't
to
mean no
him.
disrespect. You were a country boy. You were a country boy.
Country boy all the way.
Okay. You know how to
Yes,
attend
very
to the
much so. So
animal.
much so that when I went to, yep, I can milk cows. I could kill steer, take their skin off,
Really?
anything. Kill a pig, skin a goat, everything. Now don't forget I'm
Oh,
65 years old, so I've been around a while.
yeah. Oh, okay. I never
Yes.
done it. I'm a city man. How do you kill a pig and then skin it?
Number one, if it's a very huge pig, okay, it depends on the size of the pig, but if the pig is small enough, you get two people to hold it down, and then you have to take a very sharp knife with a narrow point, and you stick it under the throat, and your goal is to get it to touch the heart. Once it touches the heart, because a pig is a very powerful animal, and even when they're dying, they still are as powerful as they are. So you have to get to the heart, and once you puncture their heart, you hold them down until they scream until you stop. Then when you're finished, you have to now skin them, what we call take the hair off of their body. So you have to put them in hot water and steam them, and then you scrape the skin, you scrape the hair off their body, so the meat would look advertising for sale, because you couldn't sell a pig in those times with hair all over its body.
So you cut
And
the
you have to
head
gut
off
it. You
and
have to cut.
everything.
Well, you cut the head off, yes, but you have to cut it in half. Cut it in half and take the guts out, the heart out, the lungs out, the stomach out, and clean the whole inside out.
Wow. And then what do you sell it at?
We had a right in front of the property by the main road. We had a small meat market where we sold all our meat, we sold our milk, and people would come to the property to get manure, cow manure, so they could put it around their plants.
Wow. And so is that what you did during the summer when you went in school?
Yep, that's what I did in the summer, and I wasn't really happy doing it either, because a little kid going to school don't want to be knowing that the kids tease us all the time. They would, if I go on the basketball court and I'm leaving to go home or leaving school, oh, that country boy, he's going out to chase the pigs and pen the cows and all of that. But I used to laugh because the peace of mind that I had out here on the plantation, it was just a peace of mind just being out here with nature and the naturalness of life and not the city life. We need to understand that city life is for a period of time, but the real experience in life is when you can be in solitude and be able to think and pray and hear what the Most High has to say to you about where your goals are. In the cities, it's too confusing. It's too much going on. You never really get a chance to really even get in connection with yourself. So I was always in connection with me. I knew what I was I was on a slave plantation growing up. I knew what I could imagine what my people went through. So I was always hoping in my heart that I could contribute, make my people feel special. If I can tell you this little thing about me, I think you might like it and listen to, but I had a philosophy and I still have it. I'm 66 years old. And my philosophy is I would never date a Caucasian woman. And the reason for that is I said, as long as there's a black woman out here who needs a good man, and I consider myself a good man, I have to save myself for her. And I hope you appreciate what I just said,
I
and the
do, very
listeners
much
appreciate
so.
it.
Oh yeah, very much so. So let me ask you this: we're gonna stay on you just a tad.
Because
When
I
did you?
knew I knew what I knew what my women went through.
Okay, I love it. Stay on you just a little tad. So, how far was the city from where you were? The big city.
The big city was about say 2 miles away from me.
Okay, so when you wanted to go shopping and get clothes, you went to the big city.
Yeah. Um, and don't forget, St. John is one of three islands: St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix. And most of our big shopping would be on St. Thomas. That's the capital of the Virgin Islands.
And so if you did big
And being the
shopping,
capital, when you had to do major shopping, that's where ferry boat from one island to the next. It took about
oh, I see. Let me ask you this: when did they teach you
your.
any Black history as a kid?
I want one teacher we had in school. One teacher spent time, and this was in the 10th grade. One teacher we had, history teachers, spent time. What he did with us is he had a poster on the wall, and it had all the pictures of people from different parts of Africa, different regions of Africa, and you could see faces of people. And one of the things he would tell us is while you're in the class and you're looking up at this poster, look at the faces of those people from those different tribes and different parts of Africa and see if you have any resemblance with them. And we literally found resemblance with just about every tribe that was on that poster. And it represented at least 15 or 16 different, at the time, images of people from different parts of Africa. And
Oh,
he
I love
spent time talking about Africa, but most in the Caribbean, we never spend a lot of time, teachers never spend a lot of time talking about slavery. I don't think it was the right thing to be doing in schools because even the principals I don't think was that concerned about it. It was dumbed down to a large extent. Our knowledge of Black history to a large extent came from Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, um, Bunny Wailer, the reggae groups from Jamaica. Our true knowledge of Black history came from those guys.
Okay, I'm gonna stay on you just a tad. Well, what did your father do for a living, and your family and grandfathers and stuff like that? That's gonna take us into the story of where you are.
My grandfather actually worked for the national park, and in the 50s, right after the Great Depression, the government, United States government, came up with this program called the Civil Conservation Corps, and that was part of the national park. So my grandfather was the foreman in helping to establish to build the roads on the island of St. John. And other than working on for the national park on making roads, grandfather worked the farm. So on the farm, that's where like I said, we had cows, pigs, goats, guinea pigs, everything. And what we did is we sold meat. My dad, the story about my dad is interesting though. My mom, there was no work in the 50s. There was no work in the 50s in the Virgin Islands. So they told my mom and some other ladies that Puerto Rico, an island not too far from us, had an Air Force base. And on that Air Force base, they were looking for employees to be housemaids. And my mom and some other ladies went down to that base, military base, and she met my dad. And my dad and her met, and they had my brother, and eventually I was born. But my dad was actually from Virginia. So that's why my dad was a military person. He retired from the Air Force.
Oh, okay. Did you ever go to that military base?
No, but I met my dad in Omaha, Nebraska, where he retired. I didn't meet him until I was 38 years old.
Oh,
That's an
really?
that's
Okay.
another story. That's another story with my grandma didn't really want my dad and my mom to be together. So I gotta write a book on that story.
Oh, I see. I see. Uh, Let me ask you this. So, where you talked about this earlier, the slavery in your family. What's the beginning of that story?
Well, the beginning of the story is like I said, my grandfather was born in 1896. Slavery ended in 1848. So my grandfather's father and his father were slaves. But grandfather made it out because he was born about 25 years after slavery ended. We still had indentured servants though, so everybody still pretty much worked on the plantation for the master. It's just that you weren't called a slave at that time.
Well, okay. Let's go back a little bit further. Where does slavery? What's the beginning of slavery on the Virgin Islands?
1700.
And what happened? Where did they come from? Where were they? What's the story of it?
Okay,
What's
so
the
the story, as far as I know, it is the slaves in the Caribbean, the Virgin Islands now was specific. They came from all over Ghana in particular, Nigeria, but there were different parts of Africa they came from. The strategy, though, was you never put the slaves that speak the same language on the same plantation. And by doing that, you were able to keep them not able to communicate, so you could break them before they could even think about coming together and strategizing how to escape. So if they never spoke the same language, then you would get away with it. And that was why 1733 was so important, because they had gotten so comfortable with the slaves on in the Virgin Islands being submissive that they messed up in the Virgin Islands, and they put the same slaves on one plantation to communicate. They set up a slave revolt as quick as you can blink.
what's the slavery vote called?
It's the 1733 slave revolt. You can pull it up anywhere on any documentation.
And
The
how
first one in
successful
the
was
we held the island down for 6 months, and there were many attempts by different groups of Danish and Spaniards and stuff to try to regain the island, but we fought them off and we held them off for 6 months.
and so when there was when did slavery end on the island
1848 is when it ended.
and how did it end?
It ended when Washington, when the United States. Remember, we at this point, this was in the United States, I guess, and the world decided that slavery was over, because that's the designated date that slavery was ended, 1848. Now everybody didn't get the message, like some parts of the United States didn't get it till year after, because plantation owners chose not to tell the slaves, but tell the people that they were free. But we know for a fact that we were freed in 1848.
Well, we say we weren't free in America to 1865.
Yeah, because the information never got down to you because certain people didn't want to share it.
Oh,
See, one of the advantages we had in the Virgin Islands was, for every plantation, you had a plantation owner, you had his wife, then you had slave drivers. But the slaves were always the majority of people on these islands. In the States, though, where you guys are, the majority was never slaves. So the ability to control everything that was going on with the slaves in the United States was very easy. Down here, there had to be a lot of um, working together, kind of, because we were the majority. We just didn't understand the
yeah. Is
power
there
we
is
had
do y'all have a
until
black hero that helped
we
fight slavery that everybody should know
got
of?
people talking the same language and realize, if we're the majority, why are we letting these handful of people control us?
Right.
Yes, I don't have those names in front of me, but we have some specific names because when it was all over, when it was all over, literally crucified to in charge for
Because
so
of the.
long, and we killed. The stories about what they did to them. They would beat them almost to death.
Oh, really? Now, you said you live on the plantation. What's the story of the plantation you live on? Who was the owners and that kind of thing?
The owner of this particular plantation name was Henry Neville. Henry Neville, Knevel. Um, and his family is they own more than one plantation on the island, but he was the main person for this plantation. We had a number of slaves. I can't tell you the exact total amount of slaves, and to this day we can't even find the slave graves on the property. We know it's somewhere because they had to be buried somewhere because they died. But we know that one of our family members one day will be excavating their property to build on it. And at that time is when we're going to literally identify where those slaves to this plantation were buried.
What did he? What was he a farmer? What did he
It
grow?
was mainly through sugarcane.
Do you still have sugar cane there now?
Yes, we do. We don't process it for making sugar, but we eat it. We eat it. All you have to do is take the skin off of it, and it's in the category of fruit for us.
Oh, was so what was on the property when he owned it? Was it one house, several houses?
Well, it was. Remember, at the time of slavery, the plantation, the master's house was on the property, and then you had all the structures that were needed for you had the hillsides, which you had the areas for planting the sugar cane, and those are called the fields. And then we had the structures that were at the location where you harvest you harvest, you store, and then you extract the juice, cook it, and then you put it in what we call barrels in those times. And those barrels are where we stored the sugar, because all the sugar in the Caribbean had to be sent either to Europe or the United States, whether it be Virginia or New York. Those are two of our main locations where the plantation owners would send the sugar that was now molasses inside of the barrels.
Was there any quarters? Where did the slaves live?
The slave quarters, that's where our big challenge is now on this estate, because we know the slave quarters, wherever they were, the slave graves would be in that area too. But for some reason, we haven't found that yet. On the 250 acres, we haven't found where that area was.
So what you
We know
said
we know
earlier.
it wouldn't be.
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say we know it wasn't. We know for sure because I've had some historians come on the property. We know for sure it wouldn't be anywhere close to the master's house, because he would never want to be seeing where slaves lived, or he would never want slaves buried anywhere close to his house.
So you live in the house that the master lived in?
Yeah, I live in a massa house. I own the massa house.
You in the same bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to do a lot of renovation in the house to keep it up to date? Because that house has got to be what, almost
Yeah,
200 years old.
yeah. The original structure of the house was destroyed in 1916. The original structure was destroyed in 1916. In 1919, he rebuilt it. Henry never rebuilt it in 1916. And then we've done some renovation to it, like we put another floor on the top of it. But the main structure that he built it, the walls were 24-inch thick. In the 1919 structure, he rebuilt it with walls 24 inches thick, because the hurricane scared him so bad of 1916 that when he rebuilt with a whole new type of building material. And like I said, the windows, the walls, imagine looking out of a window and it's 24 inches thick all the way around. He didn't want another hurricane to blow it down again.
Oh. When we first started, you walked around. Can you show us stuff? with your with
Yes,
your with your camera?
I can. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I want people to see what you see, where you live and stuff. Yeah.
Are you seeing the water now? You see my face? Because there's a black line over my picture. Okay,
Yes.
let's see. Let's wait. I have customers that come in. We open we open from 11 to 8. 11 p.m. 11 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. And this,
Customers for tours or what do you what a
yeah,
customer?
tours, visitors, you're gonna see somebody right behind me.
I see. I see.
Yeah, so this is what they come to see.
I see. That's the water. Oh yes. Yes. I see.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that and is that the Atlantic Ocean?
Yes, we're in the Atlantic Ocean.
All right. And
So
then
this is the kind of activity I have here on a regular basis, all day long. And the wonderful thing about it for me is that I don't have to ask anyone for reparation.
I got you.
I said just buy my drinks and my food, and now we finally get paid for our labor. And this you're
So,
gonna see the master's house behind me.
oh, and that's where you live.
That's where I live. Yes.
What's that structure in front of you?
That's the first structure where that was extracted from the sugar mill would go down to that first structure right there where they had to process it and set it up for cooking. Over to your far left, you can't see it so well, but that's where they had some cooking pots where they cooked it. And the first ruin down there, maybe you can see that little stop sign. That was the storage area where they would store the barrels. So this whole
Oh,
estate here is 250 acres. My grandpa owned the whole thing. Now there's a number of businesses here, but these businesses belong to the family. Either we're leasing to someone or it's our businesses on our own. So we have a lumber yard, we have laundromat, we have care shelter, we have body shops, mechanic shops, other restaurants on the property, um, and we have and this site right here, as we see, this is what they came to see.
right.
You're getting a good picture of it?
Yes, yes. Love it.
So I'm gonna show you now the sugar mill.
Yes,
The main structure that the slaves had to put the sugar in to crush the sugar. You see it?
yes,
Yeah, this is the entrance where the parking entrance to the property.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So this is the sugar mill, the basic structure. Been around since 1732. This is a stage where we have music and entertainment. And you see the words on there?
Yes,
Good vibes.
yes,
Good vibes and the Virgin Islands.
yes. I see it.
Yeah, so get another picture of the mill.
Yes, I see it.
Now I want you to see this picture here. You see that picture?
Yes,
Okay, so that's what the mill looked like. That's what the mill
yeah,
looked like back in the day.
yes,
So it had a blade on it,
yes.
and you can move the blade completely around the mill.
And you built this up?
Huh?
You built the restaurant?
I can't hear you well. Say it again.
Did you build the restaurant?
Yes, yes, yes.
What is it called? What's the name of the restaurant?
Windmill bar.
Okay. What do you serve?
Sir?
What food do you serve? What's the
Um,
menu?
the best thing going up here is our burgers. Burgers, but we have fish sandwiches, shrimp sandwiches. It's not a heavy meal because people come here from the beach They come to catch the sunset, and if they need dinner, they go somewhere else for dinner.
I see. I love it. What is the name of your property?
Name of
The property.
the property is Susannaberg. 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 Estate Susannaberg.
Why is it called that?
It's interesting that you say that because the plantation owners of the time would name the plantation off of their wife's first name. So it's Annaberg, Susannaberg, Adrian, Catherineberg, all female names.
Oh, I see.
So this one was named after his wife.
Did have you met any of the descendants that he impregnated the slaves?
Well, we have a list. I have a list of all their names, and they're living their descendants live in the Virgin Islands.
Wow.
They never left.
Would you want to meet any of his descendants, the enslaver?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not. You're talking about the freed blacks we're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about the. I mean, he had to have kids with him and his wife, didn't he?
Yeah, well, it's funny you said that. One descendant came a few years ago, and at least she claimed to be a descendant. But
Right.
but that's it, it wasn't what I thought it could have been, because maybe she didn't remember now, they never taught their families the true story of how they lived. We know that now with the Black history issue that we have with teaching Black history now in schools. So they never really told their family what they really did in these Caribbeans. We have to tell that story now. We have to
What
tell them what really happened.
was he very wealthy?
I know he was very wealthy because the, 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 the size of his house, the structures on his house, also all the dignitaries that came to St. John, anybody of any importance was hosted on this property. I even have a list, I even have a newspaper clipping of 1846, which said that on this property, this is where they sold slaves. So this was one of the properties, the main property where they sold slaves. And if I can always send that to you in a text, in a
Oh,
picture. I keep it on my desk. It's always close to me because
I bet.
I knew what was happening on this property. They didn't only work us, but they sold us on this property.
I bet. Let's see. What or maybe a couple more questions. Again, go back to the beginning. How did your grandfather buy this?
Okay, he purchased it because when in the late 1800s, sugar beets became the new way of making sugar. So the plantation owners who had properties all over the Caribbean, most of them were wealthy people from Europe or the United States.
Move it
In
down
the,
just a
in the,
little bit more. There you go. Okay, go ahead.
okay,
All right.
so all of the plantation owners were starting to feel the pinch because people in the States, down south, all over, were processing sugar using beets. So they didn't have to wait for sugarcane to grow and get the crops going and pick it. And it took 6 months for our sugar to get to the States or to Europe because the boats had no engines. So the plantation owners were starting to suffer. They weren't making any money. These were plantations in the Caribbean were considered investment property for the wealthy people of Europe and the wealthy people of the United States. This was, hey, I could grow sugar all year long because that's the tropics. But it wasn't making any money and profitable. So grandfather ended up just being on the property, maintaining it, because this plantation owner in the maybe 1910 or so realized this isn't making any money, I'm going. So he went back to Syracuse. Well, he left the property and he needed somebody to maintain it. So grandpa had that history of working properties and stuff. So he was given the job to just cut it and clean it. and make sure it's maintained. And when the plantation owner comes back to the island, he can see his house is nicely, just a ground, like a groundskeeping person,
I
the
got you.
maintenance person. But what Grandpa did is he said to them, he said, since I'm maintaining it, can I bring some cows and livestock on the property? So the guy said, okay, no problem. We have no problem with that because we like the way you take care of the property anyway. So that's how Grandfather started bringing on the livestock. So he was actually maintaining the property for 15 years. And at that time, when the plantation owner said, no, we're not making any money from this isn't profitable anymore, he told an attorney who was overseeing the property to tell my grandfather that the owner wants to sell it. Mr. Neville wants to sell the property. So grandfather said, well, you know, I ain't got no money. We don't have no jobs in the Virgin Islands. He said, well, it's $3,000 for 250 acres. Grandfather again said, you know, I ain't got no money because we don't have jobs, right? He said, okay, see what you can come up with. So grandpa had a son-in-law who was in the army, and he was the one person who gave it. We came up with $600 out of the $3,000. And with that $600, grandpa went back to the attorney and said, look, I got 600. I said, fine. He said, okay, let's go to the bank. Because blacks couldn't go to the bank. He didn't have a job. He couldn't get a loan. So the attorney went to the bank, financed the loan for my grandpa. And every month, grandpa would kill some of the livestock and use that to pay the mortgage. And that's how we got the property.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that happened when? What year was that?
1950.
Wow.
Yeah.
One more question. Is there anybody, do you know anybody that's done what y'all have done that owned the property like that in the Caribbean? Has that anybody else done that kind of thing?
Yeah, other people own plantations, but every island doesn't market the history. See, we market the history.
There you go. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we market the history. Other islands, if they live on a plantation, nobody goes and says, well, they don't market, they don't like, yeah, like me, I set this up where tourists can come. I can tell them the story, but most people don't never you have to have, if you don't have an eye for business, you can have a diamond in your yard and don't even know it. And I kept telling my family, yes, it was a farm before, but we're not making any money on the farm anymore. And tourists want to come up because after the storm, the view opened up. This is what tourists started to see when the
Right.
storm. And
Right.
when they saw that, they said, hey, my wife said, this is private property. You have people coming up on the property. I said, yeah, we need to find a way to keep them up here, because if we can keep them up here, then that could give us a retirement. And I started slowly but surely working it. And they say when you build it, they will come. And I built it, and they came. So I'm actually taking you down to the sign that we have that people actually see when they come to the property.
Okay.
And this is the intro sign that they see when they come.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome to Neptune's. And who is that?
That's my grandpa.
Oh my
And if you
God.
read the last paragraph, the last paragraph said these enslaved people were emancipated and freed on July 3rd, 1848. And their descendants now own the plantation. And
Wow.
it says, we're still celebrating, and we are happy that you are here to celebrate with us. And what we're celebrating our freedom, and we're happy that you are here to celebrate with us. And if I can put this in there, and you can pay me my reparation.
Wow. Now Neptune was his name,
Yes, Halva Neptune Richards.
but they called him Neptune. Why didn't you call it? Why did you call it Oliver's?
Everybody call him Neptune.
I got you. I got you. Last question: how do we promote you so when people come down there, tell us your website. What's the best time? Do you have a
Yeah.
festival? Any of those kind of things?
Okay, for any information about this property, you just go on windmillbar.com, or just Windmill Bar on YouTube, and they will pull up Windmill Bar St. John, and you have everything from our menu, our schedule. You even have a picture, this picture, and many pictures of the property, hundreds of pictures of the property. Because people love the view so much that everybody, once they leave here, they put something on YouTube to talk about the property because the view is so awesome that people have to share it.
I got you. So now, if I was to come, I would fly to St. John's, and then
No,
how
you would
far?
fly to
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
would fly to St. Thomas,
St. Thomas.
and then from St. Thomas, it's 15 minutes to 15 to 20 minutes by a ferry boat. You can either come over as a passenger boat, or you can bring your vehicle over on a ferry barge to come to St. John. And to get from the city area, as you mentioned earlier, to my property is only 8 minutes.
I love it. Do you have a festival there? Do you have any like little
Yeah,
jazz fest?
we just had this festival. You see the picture of the sign
Yep,
up there?
yep.
It just ended yesterday.
Oh
This
my
is a,
God.
this is an annual festival that we have every year. This is the seventh year, but the Windmill Bar has only been open for 4 years.
Now the festival is so what's the dates of the festival, annual festival, so people can know to maybe put
It's
it on their
always
calendar.
it's always it's always the first week of March, and it's the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
All right.
And we
And it's
end we end the we end the fourth day, the Sunday, where everybody meets on the beach.
wow.
But the
And and
festival
and
on the
and
go ahead.
and and what's the kind of artist? It's Caribbean music, right? I guess, right?
You have local bands and you have bands from different parts of the world.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Let me as my last question to you is what's your closing remarks? How do you feel doing this?
How I feel doing this. This is important to me in many ways because the whole concept of our history is that we were put in a position that no one would ever want to have been in. But you're never downtrodden. You're never, if you believe in God and you trust and truly believe in Him, because a lot of us talk about God, but if you truly believe that He knows the end before the beginning, then you don't look at your situation and end it there. You always say, God, how is this story really going to end? But again, the main thing here is the belief, because we talk about God all the time, but we'll put confidence in anything else except God when we really need to put it in Him. And if you put it in Him, He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. If you notice, I have on my sign, cheers, because at the end of all of our sad history, there's supposed to be a silver lining. Just like the movies we watched years ago, the happy ever after, all of us are supposed to be looking for that happy ever after. Not in the sky, pie in the sky, right here on earth. And then we can give God thanks right here on earth for turning things around for us.
I love it. Hey everybody, it's Anthony Brogdon. This is what I do. It's Strong Inspirations. I told you you're gonna love this one. So hit the subscribe button. There is, it don't cost you nothing. Hit the like button. There is no love button. I know you loved it. Good looking guy too, and he told it very eloquently. Hit the notifications bell for when new videos come up. You get a ding, a shock, a smoke signal, and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Don't keep it to yourself. And go to my website, businessintheblack.net, get your copy of the book, so on and so forth. Go to his website. Tell it to us again. What's the website?
Windmillbar.com or
Windmill
Windmill
Bar,
Bar St. John on YouTube.
windmillbar.com. Go there, go to St. John, go to his restaurant, eat all the hamburgers and all the french fries, all of the fish, and then get that view. Because then that's where the sun sets, huh?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. That's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. To you, my brother, I say this and I mean this with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I'm coming to meet you soon. I promise. Maybe I'll wait for the festival, but I got to come down there. And
Any
thank you so much.
Anytime is a good time to come and share.
You got it. I'll be in
Okay.
touch. With that, I say, stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love who you become, that you took the mantle of the opportunity that presented itself and did the most with it, and the great
Yes, sir.
person that you are. And I do like that. I only want a black woman. I feel the same way. There's
Okay.
no question about it. Thank you for being on the show. I'll be in touch.
Okay, dude.
Bye bye.
Bye.